Good afternoon, and welcome to day 8 of the May Painting Challenge. Finally back in blue. I've started mixing up some highlights, and just as a sort of a preparation step, I have actually applied the first highlight to this shoulder pad and to the rim of this shoulder pad. Not sure if you can see the difference. No, it looks actually fairly obvious in the camera's viewfinder. I'm going to go into the rest of this shoulder pad a little bit. Not a lot. I'm just sort of dabbing it in here. See, I've been thinking about how to highlight this. And I should perhaps explain a little bit. See, when I did the backpack, if you watched that one, I did it pretty much a straight up zenithal highlighting scheme where most of the light is coming from above. And I do want to make most of my highlights zenithal this time as well. Perhaps not all coming just straight from... I'll show you, so I just have to finish this and then I'll demonstrate what I mean. Just dotting in some paint here and... Okay, so pure zenithal highlighting, everything would be coming from this direction. But as you see, just about everything except the shoulders would be in darkness then. So we have to make some compromises, and we have to imagine that the light could be coming at a slight angle. It could be coming like this, for example, and then you would get the knees and the toes as well, at least. Or it might be coming from this angle, and then you would at least get the backs of the shins would be hit by sunlight. So that's one principle. And a second principle is to highlight a few things even if they would not get hit by light at all. For example, I will highlight the sort of butt plates here a little bit, not much, but a little bit. I will highlight the hands more than nature would seem to indicate, mostly because there's a lot of fine detail on the fingers. You have all these individual finger plates in the armor, and it would be a shame if those were invisible. You know, they need to be slightly visible. Finally, I have a third idea specifically about the shoulders. I don't know if I'm actually putting any more highlights than this on the shoulders. It's kind of dark when you compare it to the final highlight of this, but you see, the thing is, the shoulders will be covered by other detail. This shoulder has all these studs, which will be silver metallic. This shoulder has the skull, which will be a light bone color. And I'm thinking I want to keep the contrast between the light and the dark. But this one has too much blue. It's going to look weird. Yeah, I have to highlight this shoulder more. But on this shoulder, I might be able to get away with just highlighting the rim normally and leaving the inner part relatively dark as a contrast for the skull. I can just say that it's not even painted the same blue. So let's just continue working from the top down here, just adding in a few little highlights. You see, this color looks really bright when you first lay it down, but as soon as it dries, you see, this will become this color when it dries. This is something you have to be aware of when mixing your colors and your highlights. Everything darkens down as it dries. So don't worry. I'll continue putting on this first highlight off camera, and then maybe I'll come back when I do the second highlight and show you some other details. See you in a bit. So I should perhaps mention the different methods of highlighting I'm using. For most of it, I'm just, as you saw, just kind of drawing on, and you see on this shoulder pad rim, I'm trying not to hit too close to these rivets because I want those to stand out. So I'm sort of highlighting in between them. And here I'm just sort of drawing an edge here and then splotching some paint on there, blah, blah, blah. The interesting part is this shoulder pad because it doesn't have any delineations. So for this one, I'm using the method I demonstrated on the rounded areas of the backpack. Namely, I slop some paint on the top here, and then I flip to just the brush that has a little bit of dampness, and I sort of feather in the edge here. Made a bit uneven. Like so. So we get a top highlight. It's going to be a bit tricky because I painted these parts separately to color match to the backpack. That's something that will, well, when I get to the end, and I mean this is already varnished, when this is highlighted and glazed and varnished, I'll have to look at them and see if either part is darker or lighter than the other, and the lighter part will have to be glazed down again to make it match. I almost forgot. I haven't answered the question of the day. What's the question of the day? It's: you're bitten by a radioactive platypus and given an amazing superpower of your choice. What would it be? No combo powers, please. Well, I'm not sure what a combo power means. I mean, my first instinct is to say I want the same power as Professor X in the X-Men. You might say that's two powers because he has telepathy, he can read minds, and he can control minds. But, you know, the operative power here is mind control. And I mean, how would you control minds without being able to read them? That wouldn't make any sense. So, yeah, that would be my choice, mind control. As for why? Well, you'll see tomorrow when I explain that day's question, which is what would I use it for? You will just have to wait and see. I'm gonna continue applying these highlights, see how far it goes, and I will simply show you the end result tomorrow, because this video has gone on for quite long enough by now. And let's see, let's bring this light in a little bit more. Does that help? I've made it darker. What the? Well, they're coming along, and I think it will turn out okay in the end. I hope so. I can also mention that I said I was putting more highlights on the fingers, but I've stopped highlighting certain portions, like for example the front parts of these fingers that would be hidden by the clip on the gun, and also the fronts of these fingers here that would be shaded by the sword. Yeah, I'm starting to become a bit more restrictive now with the highlights. And here, for example, on the knee pads, I'm just gonna put in a highlight like so. See, I'm not even going all the way to any of the edges. I'm just doing like that. Well, it's a bit impressionistic. It's not perfectly scientific. I use kind of use science as an excuse for what I want to do, but yeah, sometimes I just put highlights where I think it looks good. Anyway, that's enough rambling for today. I will see you tomorrow. This is Doc Eon, signing off.